What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Eagles post-game recap. I'm Alex Miller, joined always by Travis Brown. I am not in Baton Rouge, but Travis is. He's at Tiger Stadium there, Death Valley, after A&M's 42-30 loss to the LSU Tigers today. Travis, A&M had LSU on the ropes there in the second half, and then Jaden Daniels kind of just showed why he's, one of the short list Heisman contenders.
Yeah, we got to start off thanking Alex, of course, for short notice hosting because they closed the box here pretty quickly at LSU. So Cease is finishing his column. We're getting everything. We're multitasking, just like you know, like A&M athletic director Ross Bjork has had to do the last couple of games. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later. Yeah, here it was kind of the tale of two Jalen Daniels. A guy who's came into this game as one of the Heisman favorites and. A&M did everything they could to shut him down in the first. He only had 52 passing yards in the first half. And a lot of that was because A&M just decided, hey, if we hold on to the ball, their offense isn't going to be on the field. They had a drive that was 17 plays, went a full 9 minutes that ended in a touchdown. They had 4 drives that were 4 minutes or greater. A lot of drives that took up a lot of plays. That ball possession scheme worked really well in the first half, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of a major league pitcher who has a no-hitter going into the 7th or 8th, where everything is cruising, everything is rolling, everything is going to plan. And then A&M had that missed field goal from 31 yards and then the Jalen Henderson interception that kind of just made things spiral. It was really the two mistakes they made the whole game up to that point, but it was enough to shift the momentum. Everything kind of tumbled after that. They weren't able to get the same pressure or run fits on Jalen Daniels, and then he was able to throw the ball around a little bit more. They had a string of 21 unanswered points there through the middle of the game, and so Jalen Daniels proved who he was ultimately. I think it was 130 something yards passing in the fourth quarter alone. So he is that guy. There's every reason why he should be a Heisman finalist, and he proved that in the fourth quarter of this game.
Yeah, it seemed like Henderson gave it his all. I mean, he was making good throws. A&M had a pretty good offensive game plan, I thought. They were making manageable throws, things over the middle. And credit to A&M's receivers, they caught the ball and ran with it. I mean, their yards after catch was probably more than it's been most of the season. And then, Le'Veon Moss had some hard runs. I know Reuben Owens only ended up with 21, but he had a couple of good carries. But, it was the same old that kind of did A&M in, right? I mean, they couldn't contest one-on-one passes on defense. LSU had 3 touchdowns on fade routes to the end zone, and then a special teams blunder yet again that just really turns momentum in the second half when it really feels like A&M is about to just take hold of a game and possibly have things on the ropes, like I said earlier, but just couldn't get it done. And I mean, that's just kind of been the theme of this A&M team this year, especially when they're on the road.
Yeah, that's what Brian Kelly said after the game. He said it was a game where they put a lot of pressure on early, and then later in the game, A&M decided to drop 8 to try to play a little bit more safely, and that little bit of extra time actually allowed them to get some one-on-one matchups up front, which opened up the running game. And then once the running game kind of opened back up, it opened up the passing game again, and A&M shifting their defensive strategy there a little bit kind of cost them, at least according to what Brian Kelly saw out there. So, yeah, but then you mentioned too that it was a really good offensive game plan for that one that even included putting Mark Naboo, offensive lineman, in at fullback, and he got a rushing touchdown, which was something. I mean, we certainly haven't seen since. I believe was it Dalen Mack that they would put back there at fullback a little bit about 3 years ago.
Yeah, they used him. It was sparingly, but they did use him a time or two.
And that jumbo set. So yeah, that was quite in, it was one that we're all, they kind of, when the team and you're in the press box, team gets on the one, you kind of think, okay, well, it's about to be touched. You might start typing out your tweet or, looking to do something else. And then you see they score, like, okay. And then you look over the pile, and the guy getting off of it is, his number's 54 and he's massive. And you're like, wait, what just happened? And you have to go back and watch the replay. And it was pretty cool. Yeah, but first half, good game plan. They only had 1 3 and out. It was a pivotal one right after they scored off the interception. LSU scored off the interception. They kick it off, and A&M gets a quick 3 and out there, which leads to another LSU score. It was the last score of that 21-0 run that LSU put up. But man, it was a good game plan. They played hard. They played like they were having fun and loose. They played like they didn't really have anything to lose, because frankly they didn't. And that's
No,
evident too in the amount of fourth downs they went for and fourth downs they converted. They ended the game. Let's see. I believe it was 4 for 5 or four
3 of 5 on
for 6.
fourth down, and they were 9 of 18 on third down too. They
And it
did a
should have
good
been
job
four
moving
of
the chains.
it should have been 4 of 5, because Max Wright had that wide open catch that just hit his hands and fell out on fourth down on the first drive of the game that probably should have resulted in points too. He was able to get that back late in the game when he had that 51-yard catch and rumble to the end zone. But it looks like a team. Anaya Smith was asked last week about, did it feel like the pressure had been relieved a little bit from the team after Jimbo's firing and after them winning that game at Mississippi State. He basically said, yeah, because we've already made a bowl game. The only thing to play for is kind of pride and to have fun. So they're going to have fun. And they've played like that the past 2 weeks. It didn't turn out into a win because they were going up against a guy that could be the Heisman Trophy winner, and a guy also who could be a Blitnikoff winner as well, in Malik Neighbors, who had a 122-yard receiving game today. So, I want to say the A&M had to play a perfect game to win this one against that team with how they're cranking, and they almost played the perfect game, but they fell just short in the fourth quarter.
Well, at the end of the day, Travis, I mean, A&M was kind of playing with house money today. A win would have been a cherry on top on kind of a sour season, but they were expected to lose, and that's what happened. And they gave LSU a run for their money, but like you said, LSU was clearly the better team. They got a Heisman Trophy finalist, and it showed when push came to shove there in that fourth quarter. You
Yeah.
know, oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Travis.
No. I mean, they have to give a little bit of a hats off to the defenses too. Edrin Cooper, 8 tackles, had 2 quarterback hurries, a sack, a tackle for loss. He's playing in a week where he, of course, posted on social media that his girlfriend died, and the team said, Fadil Diggs said the team rallied around him. He played like a man on purpose. Bryce Anderson also had 8 tackles, had a pretty good game. They did a decent job in controlling Daniels, who, there was one play that stood out. The long run he had, I believe, in the second quarter. They looked like they had him pinned on third down and were going to bring him down. He was able to escape the pocket, and they had Torian York spying him, who's a great athlete, has done great this year. He just blew right by Torian York for a huge game that kept that drive alive. And he had another big 40-yard run on third down late in the game that kind of kept a drive alive and kept him scoring. I mean, he's the real deal. He's every bit as good as advertised. And while they were able to control him in the first half with ball control, he proved his worth there in the fourth quarter.
Well, and I'll tell you what, on the other side of things for LSU, last year Harold Perkins was not really a factor in this game when A&M beat him pretty soundly at Kyle Field. Today, he was all over the place. He led the Tigers in tackles, had a couple tackles for loss. I mean, the way that he was able to affect Jalen Henderson's decision making, especially in the second half, it certainly seemed like it changed. He definitely played like the kind of guy that LSU wants him to be, and I thought that was a huge difference there in the second half, the way that Perkins was able to apply pressure.
Yeah, Perkins 9 tackles. He had a share of a sack. 1.5 tackles for loss and a quarterback hurry. The interesting thing, and one of the things that you can look at with the switch, what kind of switched on and switched off for both teams there late in the game, they actually pulled Harold Perkins off the field on a lot of third down plays early in the game for an extra DB, because they were actually A&M actually averaged like 6.5 yards per conversion needed on third down. So it wasn't like they had a whole ton of third and shorts. They were having to convert some long third downs. And that it seemed like that just opened up, gave Jalen Henderson a little bit more time to roll out, find his guy, make the pass, make the play. They stopped subbing him late in the game and kept him on the field on third downs, and that seemed to be a little bit of a difference maker as well.
Well, this game's history, Travis, and let's be honest, the thing that's on every Aggie's mind right now is who's going to be their next coach. And you know, that's the biggest news that we're waiting on here in the coming days.
Yeah, you always wonder if there's going to be a lot of smoke coming out and around when there's a coaching search or a coaching possible firing during the game. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but the athletic director's box is just down here up in the press box level of Tiger Stadium, and you can walk by and look in. Bill Mahomes, the chairman of the Board of Regents, was in there with Ross Bjork, and they were I peaked as I was walking by and saw them having several in-depth conversations in the back. They were both on the field at the end of the game talking. So certainly, as we would expect, things are in the works there, and it's just a matter of, do we hear it today, tomorrow, in a week? He's Ross Bjork, of course, put that December 4th kind of self-imposed deadline on this because of that's when the portal opens, the transfer portal opens for players wanting to get in, a fact that LSU fans were reminding A&M's players as they were leaving the field, that if there is a transfer portal, and if you want to use it to come back here to Baton Rouge, you're more than welcome to, is kind of the overarching theme of what was being yelled at the players as they were leaving the field here today. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out, and really the timing of it all, because there was a lot going on in and around Aggieland the last couple of days, and a lot that has Ross Bjork, between his son at the A&M Consol playoff game yesterday, and this A&M football game, the Aggie basketball teams in Orlando. Talked with Justin Moore a little bit, the associate athletic director who's in charge of basketball as well, and talking a little bit about how he missed out on that trip to Orlando because of being here in Baton Rouge. So interesting to see. Really, the biggest thing beyond who it is going to be the timing of that, when news starts coming and the smoke starts really coming out about who that's going to be and when it's going to be.
Well, see how maybe today's games across the country might impact that here in the coming days.
That as well.
Um, that as well. Well, hey, I think that's all the time we got. Travis and Cease have got to get out of there. Hopefully, they get a little good food on their way out, and that's not at Longhorn Steakhouse. But be sure to check theeagle.com for all of our coverage from today's game between A&M and LSU. And be back next week as we'll provide you more content on who maybe A&M's going to hire as their coach. We'll see you then.